love for our community and the love for Sagard. And we are all determined to protect it and to keep it as safe as possible. Now, let me be very clear. This is not about objecting or rejecting people in need. It never has been and it never will be. We are helpful people in Sagard. We're very welcoming, we're decent, generous, and kind people. And we have always opened our doors to others. But that is, but what's happening here is not fair. This is just way too much. It's not balanced and it's not sustainable. In 2022, the census said that we were 4,700 people here. And now, with the government's decision, around 2,300 refugees, and that's what they're saying anyway. There are going to be many more, I suspect. But anyway, they're placed in our village, and that's almost 50% increase in population overnight. You know, no community, no matter how welcoming, can absorb that kind of change without consequences.
You're right, Finbar.
And what about our infrastructure? There is no infrastructure. We have no Garda station. We're happy you're here now, but we don't have a Garda station that's open 24/7 that you kind of need with that kind of population. We have no public park. Thank you.
Hello, Paddy. Sorry.
Yeah, so we have no Garda station, we have no public park. We have the Lewis is full to its brim. Our pharmacy, we have to put it over and come back the next day to get your prescription. Can you guys hear me? Sorry. So, and how can we be expected to carry this burden alone? And we have got no help from the government whatsoever so far. And yet, but people dare to raise the concerns. What do we hear? We're told we're racist. We're told we're far right. And it's just like, as I said, we're not petty politics. We're not. But we do have a brain. And we know that it's not.
You're not going to live?
No. So we're told we should stay quiet.
Oh, was in it?
Well, let me say this clearly. Raising legitimate concern about housing, safety, and infrastructure is not racism. It's common bloody sense, and it's all right. And it's all right as citizens, as residents, and as parents, and as neighbours to demand answers and to feel safe in our community. The truth is, we're not being listened to. Decisions are being made over our heads without consultations, although they're saying that they're consulting. In other words, because that's not true. They're just putting in what to do and what they're doing. And the fact that they're actually they're destroying democracy. They're taking away our right to
Yup, 420.
So all of this should have been put into the council. The councillors should have had the opportunity to oppose it or be for it or whatever, and we as people should have had the right to object, and none of that happened. They just completely bypassed us. And what I think is so strange is that our councillors are okay with this. They're okay with the power being taken away from them. I don't understand it. I mean, if I was voted in to become a councillor to do my job, and then the government is just bypassing me, I'd be okay with it. I don't understand it. Anyway, anyhow, so as I said, this is not democracy. That is not a community, and it's not acceptable. We are here to say enough is enough. We demand a fair and open conversation. We demand transparency. We demand that our voices are to be heard. So today we stand together, not in hate, but in unity. Not against people, but against bad policies. Against decisions that are unfair, unbalanced, and unsustainable. This is our village, this is our home, and together we will protect it. Thank you guys. As I said, we're going to have a
Only 20 odd people.
And I'm going to introduce them again as soon as we've gotten this all sorted, we'll give the mic out to you guys so you can ask questions. Bernard Cronin, without you, you know, you've helped us so much. And you don't even live here. So this is...
Anyway, give me that and we get out of here as quickly as possible. Thanks, Tanya. As Tanya said, I'm Bernie Cronin from Dundalk. Just to explain the purpose of today's meeting, it's twofold. Firstly, to invite our 5 TVs to come and explain to the people of Sagard the rationale behind the purchase of the City West and their silence and inaction on it. 2, to give you, the people of Sagard, an opportunity to tell the TV what life is like under the cloud of the current pass centre,
Thanks, Jamie.
bypass centre in City West, and the awful scenario that is now developing, it being made permanent and to be developed further. Tanya earlier, a week or so ago, sent out emails inviting the following to this meeting. And she started at the top with the Taoiseach Micheál Martin. I don't see him here today.
That's Paddy Houlihan there. Anybody
never
want to know?
responded. The second up was Thomas to Simon Harris, and again he's not here and never responded. Thirdly, Minister for Justice Jim O'Callaghan, again, no
What's that?
response, no
Hey, the fuck we gonna get a bit of share of that?
attendance.
Ah, yeah, alright,
Now
it's only
to our
better,
5 TVs, because they are the same TVs I have on well. On the government side, Minister for State Emer Higgins, any word from her? No word and no sign since the end of May in this village. Fianna Fáil's Shane Moynihan, no sign, no attendance. For Sinn Féin, one of their most nationally known politicians, Ono
Yeah, Mousie's here.
again, no response, no attendance. And the second Sinn Féin, Mark Ward, no
My
sign,
name's James.
no response, no attendance. Independent Paul Goverty did reply.
Hello,
He's out of
James.
the country, he sends his apologies.
Harry
So that
James.
means 4 out of 5 TDs are backing,
Who's
they
that
are backing
420
the
fella?
government. And I call that betrayal of the people of Sagard.
He's not working.
And next up, the county councillors. They were asked slightly different emails. They were asked to respond with one line saying they either stood with the people of Sagard or they were backing the government.
You're not going to live.
Only one of them responded, and that is Linda Corsi, who has backed this campaign from the very beginning.
I'll do 20 minutes usually coming out.
Those who didn't respond, and I'm sure none of them are in here. Shirley
Could you ask Mousie's
Shirley
why
O'Hara, Fine Gael on the
why I've been
government
blocked
side, and Trevor Gilligan,
on his
Fianna Fáil
channel,
on the
strange
government
as
side.
I was a
And
big
in
fan.
opposition,
James.
oh no,
I'll add you back in. I didn't know you were blocked.
who was on record
That's the first I knew about it, to tell you the truth.
this purchase-
I haven't checked out who's been blocked and who hasn't.
Good then.
Well, nice for letting us know.
William Terry.
We'll add you back in, definitely.
Francis Timmins,
Try not to block anybody, guys.
have
Definitely
ignored
remember you.
people of Sagard, and again I call it out. There's this betrayal to the people of Sagard. Councillor Linda, of course, the only one to respond, and she stands with Sagard. She's out of the country, otherwise she would be here. Right, next up, I'm going to talk about the petition. I've been involved with Tanya and her group since attending a meeting in the Green Isle on the 28th of May. I'm sure the number of you here were there. And what struck me at the meeting were the stories of women told about their daily fears and worries living in the shadow of the current bypass centre in the City West. I undertook at the meeting to organise a petition calling on the Minister for Justice Jim O'Callaghan to abandon the plan to buy the hotel. We set ourselves a target of 10,000 signatures, which I really felt would get the attention of our TDs. We duly met the target some weeks ago, but we got absolutely no response from the 4 TDs. And I stressed the whole time, Sinn Féin are as complicit as the government about this purchase. because by their silence, they oppose the government on every issue except this one. The main finding, okay, most of these signatures collected in Sagart, City West, Red Pool, and we've got 1,000 or so on Dalton. And the most important finding from the signatures and from the running the petition is that at least 90% of the people of Sagart and surrounding areas oppose this purchase. And they are being ignored by government, and I come back to the 4 TDs. The Echo a couple of days ago featured on the front page that the deal is done, and in an article on page 2 is headlined, "Buying of hotel set to save the state €1 billion over 25 years." So there you have it, Sagart. This thing has been, the government, firstly, the most important thing is
What's the
money
story,
to them,
Jerry?
rather than the quality of life for you people over the next 25 years. I think it's an appalling decision. The report also states in the paper that the community engagement teams will schedule meetings with the local representatives in areas of Canberra, which means that they will talk to TDs
not over
and
there.
councillors
He has it on
who
in his
obviously
pocket.
don't represent you.
Every two
But
word.
at least Emer Higgins will be able to go to Cabinet saying that she met this team and that all is well in Sagart, according to her. Life is going to get a lot worse for the women who spoke in the Green Isle Hotel.
Keep it
With
going.
no relief
know.
over the coming 25 years. Sagart and Dublin Midwest, you deserve better TDs and councillors. You are very badly served by the present lot. I want to talk a bit about just broken news in the last couple of days. Dundrum House. What is the difference between Dundrum in County Tipperary and Sagart? 2 TDs for Dundrum, Michael Murphy of Finnegan and Regional Independent Michael McGrath, have written to the Minister for Justice O'Callaghan and the Social Protection Minister Derek Cleary, calling on them to end the IPAS arrangement for Dundrum House. That is two government deputies breaking the party line. That's what I said. 2 government departments breaking the party line and doing the job they were elected to. That is representing their constituents. Compare that principle to their constituents betrayed by Emer Higgins, Shane Monahan, Ono Bryn and Mark Ward. And by the way, this betrayal goes back to the general election, the end of last November. Emer Higgins and her party, government, deliberately withheld the news that the government was buying the hotels until after the count was done. 2 weeks after the election, in mid-December, the Sunday Business Post devoted the front page that the government intended buying City West for 100 million. I believe if the purchase was known at the time of the election, it's quite likely Emer Higgins would not have been elected. And that would have been good news. This was a dirty, underhand stroke by the government to withhold the information until after the election. And okay, finally I am coming to the end of it.
How are you, Raw?
Finally, why did the cabinet come up with the idea to purchase City West? The government has
Yeah, it's a nasty day, James, yeah.
Disastrous, dysfunctional immigration system for the past 10 years, of which the numbers of asylum seekers
Why not? We're here.
have now risen to 33,000. The country topping the league table is Nigeria with 7,500 applicants. I don't know of a war in Nigeria. Next up is Georgia, with over 3,000 in the system. Georgia was designated by then Minister for Justice Charlie Flanagan as a safe country in April 28.
We're down here,
Begs
staggered
the
people.
question, how
Where there's
many
only
have
showing in it.
applied for asylum since then? How many were approved? In Jim O'Callaghan's very words, 80%
Me and the
of
giddy lad.
asylum seekers failed the first assessment.
420 down here as
Last
well.
year the government ran 2 nonsense referendums which they lost. There should be a referendum on putting proper controls on illegal immigration. And now my last time to mention, I don't know what they did, the infamous 4. Emer Higgins, Shane Moynihan, Owen O'Brien and Mark Ward are prioritising the needs of the asylum seekers in City West over the needs of the residents of Saggart. That is you. Saggart, you are becoming second-class citizens in your own village, and quite likely during the next less than 25 years you will become the minority in your own village. What I say to you at the very last is do not accept that this deal, while it's closed, is the end of your campaign. Instead, look at it as a battle lost and prepare to go to war against the government, starting by taking the fight to these 4 TVs. And just very finally, you must stop and object every potential plan that
You're welcome,
the government
Jamesy.
announces about the development of City West. Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you. That was really good. Thanks, Barney. Okay, so we have Elaine Mullally. Do you want to say a few words? She is the founder of the Irish Independent
Nice one, James, from Tipperary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cheers, bro.
Very good. All the way from County Leash.
Let me know what's the crack, bro.
Yeah, just before I start, I am the founder
You're right, lad, for the story.
Still saying up there,
You still there, yeah? Pop down past it a bit.
I'm delighted to hear that Councillor Linda de Courcy has been so active in this community, because she's one of the people who I spoke to early on. Obviously ran her as a councillor and she got elected. And it's brilliant to see that people like her are still being elected. And I told her I was coming up here to speak. She was delighted. So well done to her and well done to all of you for acknowledging her. I'm from Port Arlington in County Leash, and over the last 3 years, longer, but in particular the last 3 years,
That's like saying
most
that.
and villages around Ireland have witnessed mass immigration. And normally this is without any public consultation. The government are busing large quantities of people into our villages under the cloak of darkness in a lot of cases. And you know, our hotels, our housing estates, that there's large quantities of people being housed in. And you know, I think people are really starting to wake up and they're starting to speak out and they're starting to step into the name calling, which is difficult initially, but we have to protect our communities. And like Saggart is a gorgeous village, and to think that its population is going to double in a very short space of time with people we know very little about, who don't know culturally whether they're going to fit in. And again, as I say, it's a huge undertaking without sitting down and talking to the people of the communities. Secondly, I think the location of an IPAS centre should be beside the continental into the country. So why they're bringing people, if they're landing in Dublin Airport, why they're busing them out to places like Saggart and villages all over the country, when they should be processed and accommodated beside the point of entry. It makes no sense to be spending 123 million on a facility which I'm sure could be used locally. I'm sure if I was to speak to a lot of people here today, you'd identify I know there's a huge childcare crisis. Maybe part of the facility could be used to help people that need to work and want childcare facilities. If we look at the scoliosis crisis recently, maybe a centre for helping children with scoliosis.
Anybody modern in here, get rid of that Benny S, please.
We also have, you know, special needs schools, there's shortages for children with autism, etc. Why not turn the facility into something for them? Why are our government hell-bent on buying up premises across the country and turning them into facilities for people to come here and live, when we have our own crisis that we should be sorting out first and foremost?
Thanks, Judy.
Again, you know, we hear a lot that we have an obligation, a legal obligation to provide these facilities and these premises, immigration services or international protection for people. This is a huge misconception because Ireland is one of the few countries that has, under Protocol 21, which is in place since 1999, Ireland has an automatic opt-out on all EU legislation in the areas of freedom, security and justice. So, as I
That's
said,
it,
we're one of the
420,
European
keep double
countries,
tabbing.
Hungary, Poland, etc., are fighting like mad to get out of the EU Migration Pact. Our government, both houses of the Oireachtas, had to opt Ireland in relation to the EU Migration Pact. They actually had to get all of the TDs and senators to vote in favour of us opting in. This is extreme to think we don't want this. The people of Ireland don't want to be opted into anything that where our freedom and our safety and our security is under threat. Absolutely no way do we want this. And they've opted us into that voluntarily in 2024. And there should have been a referendum. We should have had a referendum on this huge issue. 100%. I'm not going to keep you too much longer, but I do think there's a very important message to be got out. Because I'm speaking to a lot more people who are getting more angry and more frustrated. And I understand that anger and I understand that frustration. But we do have to remember that the government, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, invited people to come here. A few years back with Robert O'Gorman's 7 different languages, promising the promised land to people to come here. And then when they came here, many of them did get what they were promised, but others have been given tents and told to live by a canal, which is inhumane and it's not right and it's not fair for them. So I think it's very important that when we are venting our anger and when we are frustrated,
That's sure true, James. It wouldn't happen. It'll turn the place into a mess.
Who come here and are continuing to come
Be
here.
a danger to
It's
all
our
women and children
government.
right across
It's
the whole of
Fianna Fáil
Saga.
and Fine Gael. And it's Sinn Féin who are doing nothing to stop it. And so we need to, again, going back to a few points that were made, our county councillors don't know what's going on. They don't because they're not.
Sinn Féin are traitors in any way.
They don't want them to know what's going on because they know in a lot of places that they will be answerable to the people in the communities. So I would
Is
ask
Mark
everybody to contact their county councillors, their TDs. These are the people
Who's Mark?
who are supposed to be representing your needs. They're the people who were voted in, rightly or wrongly. They're in positions of power. And if we don't reach out to them and tell them, we want this to stop and we want it to stop
Sorry,
now,
we sucks
they
it on
can
who
always
Mark
say,
is.
"Well, we didn't know what you want." So if we can get more
Oh,
and more
Mark.
people to reach out,
Got you.
and that's why I'm
Oh,
here
just copped
today.
you now, yeah.
I came up to stand with the people in Saggart because basically, united we stand, divided we fall, and we need to stand together from all over the country, not just each community. So I'd like to finish and wish you all the very, very
Hope you're
best.
good, bro.
If anything I can do, the girls have my contact details, and I'm more than willing to come up and help.
Not used to seeing you in here.
This is fantastic, and it's great to see so many people out on a wet morning. The best of luck to you all, and thanks again for inviting me up.
Okay, so I'm going to come out to public now. Yeah. How do you know? Do you want to say anything? You want to go up or do you want to-
This is Paddy Hewlett, folks.
Paddy Hewlett.
Just want to thank everybody that
Ex Sinn Féin.
the residents. Can you hear me? How about now? Yeah, better? Yeah, better. So I'll try not to repeat a lot of things that have been said here already, but just an explanation of how a lot of this is happening with the legislation. I passed a motion in Central County Council just gone to call on that legislation to be amended. So the legislation that we're running at the moment, the statute instrument, is 367. It was put in place for displaced people, which under the EU directive is for people during the Ukrainian and the Russia situation. But in that, there's the amendment is on the end of it. It says that any accommodation that will be used for displaced people, which were welcomed in by a lot of communities across this country, can then be put into international protection. I don't know why they would put that into legislation if they were making it for temporary accommodation for displaced people. It makes no sense. It's a coincidence? I don't know. The situation that
Got
we're
us,
in
Barry,
this country is
Skyline.
$1 billion business, and And
Welcome to the
anybody
live.
who questions it gets labelled. I'll go through what I've wrote down here, because if not, I will be on a tangent and we could be here for an hour. So I'll try my best here. So I just want to say, and I want to put on the record here that I do not stand for City West being permanently taken over by the state. I stand here as an individual. I don't stand here as a representative of any party or any group or any ideology. I represent my family and the genuine people of these communities that are concerned, and also I represent common sense here. The lack of democracy in this area has been apparent for many years, and I know people who have said that. This is my 6th year in Central County Council now, and I just consider myself one of the people, an ordinary person who got fed up and seen that the homeless business is what it is. Nobody going to cure the homeless business. It's so much money going into it. There's so many people depending on it as their jobs in high level positions. So how can we cure something like that? So that's why I kind of went in towards the council. I was frustrated. I'm sick of being at home frustrated. So here I am 6 years later, and what we need to do is I think we need ordinary people across this whole country.
Can one of the mods remove that route, please?
I'll go back to the notes because, as I said, we'll be So this democracy I've seen that wasn't happening was when the SHD projects were created. And this project was created to end the housing crisis, which it didn't. And what it did was it bypassed the council and the votes in the council or any party to build in these communities. The council, the government passed that Paolo, the onboard Panola, onto a board basically of people who are making the decisions. And any of the buildings that you see down here, and any of the buildings that you see going on, it was done through this legislation. So again, it bypassed the democracy in this community. And any concerns fell on deaf ears. And I see these concerns now in the council, and they're being brought forward as problems by other councillors that are of the same parties who have implemented this on the communities.
Thanks,
so
Jerry.
The loos being full in the mornings, the parking issue down in City West, antisocial behaviour that has happened to increase the population so quick and
That's
so
correct,
vast
Paddy,
like that, and not in the infrastructure. They did this already. When Pallet was built, it was the same situation. They built the housing, they put the people in the housing, but they didn't build the infrastructure. I grew up in Pallet. I'm here 27 years. Between here and Lannadown in Belfast, I spent my life. So I am very aware to seeing what goes on and the lies and the propaganda that can be shown. And it's very hard to manoeuvre between that. So we commend the people that can do that. The handling of City West is a perfect example that there's zero accountability in our government. The reckless spending and the disregard for the concerns of the people. This is not just an adding of an iPass facility into this area, it's the removal of the vital community facilities that was there already, which was used for weddings, family events, international and local sporting events, Irish dancing championships, and that's only to name a few, that we've all probably enjoyed around here. As a community under temporary orders, this community also accepted a temporary testing centre, a temporary vaccination centre, and a temporary accommodation for displaced people. And we are now staring down the barrel of a permanent facility, and it's all done with no true democratic input from the communities across the whole country. And as that old saying goes, there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government measure. To sell this hotel to a private entity and to then rent it consecutively, we also had to buy a piece of land off who this was sold to for the HSE building that was proposed for down here. And then the government goes and buys it all for 148 million. And anyway, there's no planning there. How can there be any planning? If we're renting it and we're spending the money, we should have bought it at the start. We should have bought it for, 30, 40
Sorry, dog man. Now she's here as well.
It makes no sense. This facility could have been used for so much. And I'm sure that the residents here would have been able to communicate with the councils and make that happen.
Somebody.
It's already been mentioned, but I'll mention it again. The Minister for Children sent out a white paper that was set to end direct division. He clearly states in that, you can go on your phone onto YouTube now and look at it, that it would be not for profit. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what has actually happened here. What we have now is a direct provision in this country on steroids.
Ask Paddy how the people
What
pushed
did
the
happen was that
referendum
the government
instead of
created a billion-euro
NGOs.
business, and for anybody to question it, you will label it.
There's too many
How
people
did
that
he-
ask there, Jenny,
So
at the
the
moment, but I
solution-
will ask them.
Somebody.
I always hear these speeches, I see this, I don't really come to these because sometimes I don't feel like they help, but I am with you and the people in this, and I'm trying to work on my other sides to try the minefield that it is, but a solution. So when I'm asked what can be done, is
You're
there
right,
something
hillbilly.
going to save us? I don't believe that that is the case. I believe that it's going to take the people and the people only to be able to do this. In an effort to drive the people apart, they actually drove the people together. And that needs to be the start of the political change that's needed in this country. Come 4 years' time, the communities, they need to be ready and they need to be prepared. Find your voice in the councils and then find the voices in the Dáil. This is not going to change
100%,
overnight,
Brady.
but the start has to happen, and the next 20 years can spring from this period that's being implemented on the people of Ireland. No doubt what I say here today will be spun. I'm okay with that. I'm ready, I'm prepared, I'm battle tested with that stuff. But I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm here to speak the truth. And one of the biggest issues in Irish society is the lack of government accountability. All of this is being done under that. A day will come that your children will ask, what were you doing when this was happening? And I know that I want to be able to look at mine, and I want to be able to say that I stood my ground, I spoke the truth, and I didn't let people bully me.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Sorry.
much. Okay, so the mic.
Paddy, that is side by side for that. Because last time I argued with you, outside Crooks Lane. You get me? And I just thought, like, you know,
Timing strategies, everything.
who you were involved with at that time, everybody thought, you know what I mean? But look, everybody changes, don't they, for the right way, you know what I mean? I'm glad to hear you're on board anyway.
If you have a question, throw the hand up and I'll talk to you. Hang on.
Is there a legal angle that we can go on? Or is that happening?
So what we try, can you hear me? Yeah. So what we're trying to do right now is getting an environmental assessment done. The same thing, we need to get a proper planning for the whole of Sagard and City West. But the thing is, we've been on to a few environmental
Being asked the question here, Paddy.
companies that do these surveys, and they don't
Yeah,
want to
can you
do
see
it for
that?
us.
Ask
This
Paddy
is the
how
problem. So,
people
because
push a
they
referendum
are
instead of
embedded
NGOs.
with big building companies that are embedded.
Probably someday we'll have a little chat about it, yeah. You know what I mean? Just because you get some mad questions on these things, you know what I mean?
But anyway, so what we're doing
At the moment,
now,
guys,
we're
not now,
trying to
because I'm just trying to concentrate on what's going on here
get
with the
somebody
people that are here.
there that can do it
So
for
I'll
us.
ask more
There's no
questions
kind
probably
of-
in the future.
That won't, because we can't really, it'd be hard to get somebody from, say, Germany to come in here because their laws are a little bit different. You know, it's not the same thing, but we got somebody from Northern Ireland. So we're trying, we're working hard. So we need a proper assessment done so we can actually see, listen, this is what you've done wrong, this is what you've done wrong. We can tell them what they've done wrong, but they don't listen to us. But if you have a reputable, like a big company that does this for a living, you know, says it to them, what can they say? They can't say, no, you're racist. They can't do that, you know. So this is the thing. So we're trying, we're really trying to find angles, you know. So what we really want to do is do that, bring that to court, and then eventually try to bring it to European courts, because I think we have a better chance there than we have in our courts here, unfortunately. Again, because who pays their salaries, our judges and so on, you know. So I know it sounds so,
No.
you know, but it's the more you get into this, the more heartbreaking it is. Actually, that you think we live in a democracy, but we don't. You know? Anyway, okay, I'm going to take my tin foil hat off now.
Anybody else? Aha, right there.
Step away from the speaker.
It's not a question just so much as why I'm here today. I never really, and I'm ashamed at this point to say it, I never really paid too much attention to politics. I had my head buried in the sand until last May when I got a text message from school to be told that there was a possible incident down at the school. And because I was so disconnected and not really clued into anything, you know, immigration policy, anything like that, I had no idea what was happening. So I sent a message into a WhatsApp group to the school in Ireland. I asked them did they know what was happening, and I was told that there was a
She's on
resident
Instagram,
of the convention centre
Yeah, we are
roaming
too.
around the village and had a weapon. So for at least 5 minutes, I didn't know if my 7-year-old son at the time was in danger. It felt like an hour. And I raced down to the school, which is
Get up there,
just
Nelsie.
down here, St. Mary's National
Get up there,
School,
somebody said.
which is a
Up there.
stone's throw,
Up there.
as everybody
Up
knows
there.
from the White Centre. When I got down to the school, the principal and a few teachers were standing outside the school, keeping guard. So the reason I joined this group was I never want that fear again. It was the worst 5 minutes of my life. Thankfully, nothing happened. It was controlled. But what happens the next time if it's not? What happens if one of our children are hurt? It's not beyond the realm of possibility that it could happen. Where do you go? Like, what happens to your life if something happens to your child? We've seen it.
I've been living in Saggart the last 20 years, and as Andy was saying, we put up with the COVID injections, dealt with the Ukrainians, with the northern patient all the way through. And I myself work with the most marginalised people in this country, drug addicts. I work in the city centre. I see them coming in with sleeping bags under their arms, I see them in their tents. Probably being on the phone, no number off by heart, 1800 707 707. Homeless, it's gone through the roof. I was watching Billion Years last night in 2009. There was 9,000 people homeless in 2009. 7 days ago.
Sorry about the phone call, guys.
And I'm the most unracist person I've ever been in my life. But to see people living in tents on Peter, in the middle of Peter Street, in the middle of town, back to the Ilex Centre, in bushes down here. I'm not going to say look after our own force, because that sounds really racist, but the homeless situation is the biggest thing here, and it's not as simple as giving someone a roof over the head, because some people aren't capable of living with a roof over the head. You need transitional housing, you need
I'm going to drop there because I want to find out something.
to pay bills,
I'm going to tell everybody to come over to yours.
light a fire, to turn the gas on. I've seen it all.
Right, lads.
I've heard the stories.
I'm going to drop here, yeah. If you want to keep on carry on watching, go over to Derek Mousy Guy. He's live at the moment.
Alcoholics.
I've been on for nearly 40 minutes now, so again, thanks to Ireland and to Ireland, James, Dogman, Ace,
With this going on down here,
Pops,
playing the fight sides one of their recently, Robert
and anybody else that has come in. Jerry, thanks very much for Modern Funny.
Nicest people you could be. We did
And Barry.
great bit of fun with them. We see them playing in the park,
Guys, I'll be dropping back off. I'll probably come back on if it goes on any longer. Yeah?
and that's great. But
Talk to you all soon.
it's
Take care.
the amount
Thank
of
you.
numbers that are coming in and the ratio of all